Now, I will say that this isn't for everybody, and it does take a little bit of time to develop. So don't hedge all of your practice on this doing well. Try it for 10 to 20 minutes for a couple of weeks and see if you start to notice a difference. Now, we're going to do this by using a speed reading technique. And the big criticism for speed reading is that you don't retain things in the long term. But that's exactly why this is perfect for the verbal reasoning, is because you don't need to retain it. You need to know it for long enough to answer some questions and then go away and kind of forget about it and move on to the next question. And that's why it's perfect, because once I started nailing this technique with about a week of practice, I was spending around 30 to 40 seconds just reading the passage straight away. I understood it enough to get a vibe, so then I'd spend about 20 seconds on the questions, and that would give me enough time to think about it, remember kind of what I'd roughly read in that time, and answer questions. And I was getting 3 or 4 out of 4 right every single time after that. The craziest thing about this is that I'm technically borderline dyslexic, so a very slow reader with low comprehension and retention. So actually for me to be able to do this within a week was actually quite surprising, but I'm going to show you the steps to do it now. So step 1 is that you actually need to prove to yourself that this is doable. Now, the best way to do it is, if you think the average person's reading speed is anything from 200 to 250 words per minute, what I want to do first is show you that it's very possible. So the best thing to do is take some software that will take a passage and it will flash the whole passage up 1 word at a time at a pace of whatever you want. But let's take 400 words per minute, which means that you're doubling your speed, and watch to see how when those words get flashed up really quick, you think that it's too much, but actually you can understand the gist and some of the details of what's going on just by reading at double the speed. So on this software, it then asks you some questions to help you understand whether you got the gist of it or not. But that really is just step 1, just to help you understand that actually it is actually possible to speed read, and then we're going to work on exactly how you do it. Now, in a nutshell, the way that speed reading works is to do 2 things. Firstly, it eliminates what you call sub-vocalisation. It's as if you were reading it out loud inside your mind, and that slows you down, so we need to stop that. And the second thing that slows you down is your eye movements, because people tend to look at each word at one time, but actually what you can do is take in 3 or 4 chunks of words at the same time, so that instead of reading every single word on a line, you can actually just flick your eyes to 3 spots on the page and pick everything up. That is what speeds people up as well. So the next thing to do is to take a passage and you divide it up into those columns, like those saccades, like we said. And like I say, this software again will do that for you. And you can see that you can have the words shown up in chunks like you're supposed to read, and it shows you how your eye is supposed to move to look at the center of each one each time, and that way you can really get into the habit of doing that. Now, once you get used to doing that, you can also do it where the page is just divided by some imaginary lines that split the page into 3. And once you start doing that, you get really, really quick. Now, again, on this, what you can do is actually calculate your reading speed. If you want to start measuring it to understand where you're starting at and where you want to get to, what you can do is time how long it takes you to read that passage. The software knows how many words are there, and you just divide the time by the number of words by the time, and that will give you your reading speed. You can even play around with the number of words that you chunk and the number of columns, because as you're reading different things, and especially when you get to the actual exam of the UCAT itself, you'll have them, they'll be quite wide, especially when you're going for big passages. And the bigger the chunks of words that you can use per eye movement, the quicker you'll go. So like I say, this is why it takes a bit of time to get used to this. You can probably teach yourself to speed read in about 10 minutes of just going through those steps that I said. But now it's about time to start actually doing it and answering those questions. But the biggest trick and the difficulty about it is that it's very tempting to not just keep going, to like, if you didn't pick something up, to want to go back. Try and get the discipline of just saying that you're going to continue reading, because what tends to happen is that the brain will process it after you've kind of gone beyond it, and it will get the gist just by finishing the passage. So let me show you. One of the best ways that you can do that is to get a piece of card, and if you basically just run it through the paper as you're reading, it prevents you from going back and just forces you to complete the whole thing without going back to things that you think you've missed. So that's a really good tactic for doing it. So then all you really need to do is start putting it into practice. Start speed reading passages. You'll realize soon that it doesn't really matter if it's short, medium, long. You can just get a feel for it. And after a while, once you've been doing it and you build your confidence, you'll start realizing that you'll get many more answers correct than you were before. Stick with it for a couple of weeks before you decide whether it works or not. Actually, on social media earlier this year, I did it for a week just to show you how much I progressed. And you can see the journey of me kind of getting one right, probably out of luck, out of randomness, because you're, statistically likely to get either a third or a quarter of all your questions right. But then over time, I actually started really understanding what I was reading. I started understanding how it related to the questions, and slowly but surely, I started getting 3 or 4 right every single time. So definitely worth trying, definitely worth having a look at, and give it just a little bit of an experiment. Like I say, you're not going to get it straight away, and you don't want to risk your practice the way that you're normally doing it in case this is something that doesn't work out for you. But if you've got 2 weeks where you can do 10, 20 minutes just to practice it, just to see if you can see some signs of improvement and seeing it being a viable tactic, then it's worth trying. If you want some help with your UCAT or with your medical school or dental school application at all, we have a 93% success rate, and we have a guarantee that if you don't get in, you carry on with us into the next cycle completely for free, because that is our commitment to our students. If you want to find out more about that, you can check out this video here. Otherwise, we've got more useful UCAT stuff here for you. So best of luck with your practice. Let me know how it goes in the comments, because this is quite experimental. It's something that I've been doing with my students and have been seeing some good results, but I'm really curious to see, because it's a very new thing that I'm trying myself, to see how you guys are doing. If you want to find out where you can get that software, it's also in the description. But yeah, thank you for watching, and best of luck with it.